Hello and welcome to this new lesson in which we are going to discuss the do-while loop. Now, it is very similar to while loop, but since we have a do before it, then there is some changes or some differences, let's say. Now, let's look at the syntax. As you can see, it starts with a do, then two curly braces. Now, the condition is the last thing written here. As you can see, these are the two curly braces. Then we have the block of code. After that, we have the condition, which is while, two parentheses, and between the two parentheses, we have the condition. And here we have a semicolon. Now, this is the syntax, and you must memorize it. Since we have the do, and we have the curly braces with the block of code prior to the while loop or the while condition, this means that the loop body statement will be executed at least once before checking whether the condition is true or not. This is because we have the condition here at the end. And this is the main difference between the while and do-while loop. So the do-while loop executes the code block prior to checking whether the condition is true. It will continue to repeat the loop for as long as the condition is true, just like the while loop. The string in this case, let's see this example. Here we have an integer x equals 1. We have do, two statements, and we have this condition. Now, the first thing that will happen, it will go to the do, then it will execute these two lines before checking the condition. So it will print and scan. It will print I'm in the loop, then it will scan something from the user, let's say a number. Now, while the number that was scanned is not equal 0, so while this condition is true, just like in the while loop, it will go back and execute the code block again. Once it finishes the execution, it will go to the condition, and it will keep looping like this, then like this, like this, then like this, and so on, until the condition is false. Just like what we explained in the while loop, except that in this case, if the condition is false from the beginning, the code block will be executed at least once, because we are executing the code block before even checking the condition, whether the condition is true or false. And this is because we are starting with the do, then the while. Unlike the while, which is the second type that we explained. Now let's take a look at a practical example. First, let's include the stdio.h void main. Here we need to add void, and let's choose the language to be C. Int x equals 1, do while, and the condition is x not equal 0. Now this is the syntax. Now press enter here, and here we need to add the code block. Let's add a printf statement up inside the loop, then scanf to read an input from the user, and let's say x. X %d. Okay, now let's say that enter x, then /n without a /n. We will leave it like that in the same line. Now let's save it. Let's call it 16 do while. Now let's go to the compiling process. Now go to the file, open containing folder, cmd, gcc.c. a.exe. We are inside the loop, enter x. So x, let's say, equal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As long as x is not equal to 0, it will keep doing that. Now, once x equals 0, now here's the condition. X not equal 0. Now, if x is 0, so 0 equals 0, so this condition is false. It will get out of the do while loop. So let's write 0 here. As you can see, it's out. Now let's say that we want to make the condition false from the beginning. So let's say that x not equal 0. And here we have it, x equal 1. Now, as you can see in this case, now if we enter 0 here, let's go to the execution, a.exe. Now if we entered 0 here, it means that 0 not equal 0. Now we already have this condition as false because x equal 1 and 1 not equal 0 is true. So if we replace this with 0, let's say, we save the code. So this, if it is a while, not a do while, nothing will be printed. But since we are using do while, and we already mentioned that the code block will be printed prior to checking whether the condition is true or not, the condition is false. It's not true because, as you can see here, 0 not equal 0 is false because 0 equals 0. So the condition is false and nothing should be executed. But since we are using do while, it will be executed at least once, even if the condition is false. So let's compile the code, run it. As you can see, we are inside the loop, enter x. Even though the condition is false, we are getting the code block executed, as you can see in this line. And this is the main difference between the do while and while. Now, if we are using the same code, like this code, I will copy it as it is, the while, and here I will add the two lines, these two lines. Now let's comment this part, the do while, and let's play the while itself. Now if we save this code, go back to the execution, let's clean. Now a.exe, as you can see, nothing was printed here because the condition is false. And since we are checking the condition in the while before executing anything, nothing was printed. But in the do while, this was printed even though the condition is wrong. And this is the main difference between these two. I hope that now you are getting what I was trying to point out from the explanation. Now, if you have any issue or any problem understanding the do while, I'll be more than happy to elaborate. Questions and assignments will follow to make you understand things even more. Thanks for watching this lesson. This is Ashraf from Educational Engineering Team.